On this week's show, we'll be diving into what it means to be a successful indie author. Is it money? Adoring fans? Having your own stalker? Our roundtable discussion panelists will share what they think it takes to be considered a success as an indie author. Finally, we'll spend the last 5 minutes with my friend, my co-author, and my co-host, the brilliant and ridiculous RJ Burchett. So sit down, shut up, prepare to learn some shit, and be entertained. It's This Week in Indies.
Welcome to This Week in Indies. We are your guest hosts this week. I'm RJ Burchett.
I'm Lahr. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you for joining us. So, our topic this week.
Well, wait. First, I want these guys to introduce themselves.
It's all about them.
It's mostly about it. But to be polite, I would like Samantha to start by introducing herself, and then they'll, then do her stuff.
All right, Samantha.
So, hi there. I'm Samantha Bryant. I live in North Carolina and the southern United States, but I'm originally from Kentucky, and I left my heart in Alaska. Oh. I write the Menopausal Superhero series, horror stories, and whatever else catches my eye.
Nice. Good. And Tim?
Well, I'm Tim Niederriter. I'm a Minnesotan for my entire life. But I write epic fantasy and science fiction. And that's it. Good. There's not much else.
Alexander.
Hey guys, I'm Alexander Gideon. I'm also from North Carolina. I'm out of Asheville, North Carolina. My writing style can best be summed up by the phrase, "and many people died." My first book in the Books of the Law series has been out for quite a while now. Web of Crimson, book 2 should hopefully be out in June. If it's not in June, me and John Hartness from Falstaff Books are going to go out back and fight. He's a lot bigger than me, so he's probably going to win, but hey, we're going to do it anyway.
Excellent.
And Karina?
Hi, everyone. I'm Karina Kantas. I am an author of 14 books. I'm also a podcaster, YouTuber. I run Author Assist, which helps authors with their marketing and promotion. I'm also an award-winning filmmaker, and I am the host of the Author Assist show on the Artists First Radio Network.
Wow.
Excellent.
I'm exhausted listening to everything Karina does. Well, let's introduce ourselves a little bit. I'm Ron Lahr. I'm from Spokane, Washington, and we're here in Spokane right now, Robin. But I write fantasy, science fiction, humor. RJ and I wrote a book, and that just came out. And we also have a show that we're going to watch a little clip of that premieres on Tuesday.
That's true. I'm RJ Burchett. People call me Robin, but I thought RJ was a more impressive writer name. So, you got to make choices like that. I also live in Spokane, Washington, and here we are.
That's true. The other thing you should know about me, I love gardening. I'm probably going to talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I don't love gardening. I help with gardening. I mostly turn the compost pile. I'm more interested in seeing things rot than watching things grow. But
All right, you want to start us off on the topic?
well, the topic of the day is what is success as an indie writer, and would like to get all of your opinions on what makes for a successful career. How do you know when you are there or when you're not? And well, who would like to start? Shall we start with Samantha? There are so many different ways to define it. What for you is the most important thing?
So I think success is one of those constantly moving targets. It's like, when you're at one stage, you look at this and you go, oh, when I get there, I will be successful. And then if you get there, you're like, oh, but wait, if I get there, then I will be successful. And so for me, it's just this constantly moving target. At first, it was just getting any of my work published, right? And then it was trying to get my work published in more profitable and prestigious ways, right? And, getting good reviews was on the list. I think at this point, my next goal for where I'll say, yes, I'm successful, would be that I can not have a day job anymore, that I can just be a writer. That would feel like successful to me right now.
That's
good.
But also not starve and keep your home.
Oh, well, that's true. I could give up my
Because really, you could quit your job today.
immediately, but I would like to still have a house and a car.
Yeah, you want to
I'm old enough. I want my comforts.
keep the same standard of living.
Right.
All right, that's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Than being
Eat something
homeless
besides
or
ramen. Yeah.
full-time writer, hobo.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I have to ask Samantha. So you say the goalposts keep moving. Do you feel the success when you reach a particular goal, or does it evaporate like in the morning?
That depends on what kind of mental health day am I having. But mostly I do try to make sure I slow down and appreciate the good things as they come up. When I get to a goal, I try to have some kind of celebration, even if it's just that I make my husband go buy me a nice slice of cherry pie. Something.
Good.
All right, Tim, how about you? What do you feel success is right now, and even in the past?
Well, it used to be, I thought success would be just being able to write better books, write books that I liked. And now that I can do that, all I want to do, the main thing I want is to be able to make a living doing it and sustain doing books. Because I mostly just write books these days, but it's not very, the living conditions aren't the best. Let me put it that way. I'm not quite earning enough to consider myself full-time. So
Gotcha.
that rope is getting shorter. And but for a long time, I just want to be recognized as a good writer. But now it doesn't bother me that much. That was an old priority.
Interesting. How about you, Alexander?
Success as a writer right now would be this cat.
Yeah,
not
it looks like
fucking
he's
shit up.
flying.
But that's what cats are for. Come on.
like stuff's gonna start coming off this shelf here in just a second. It's just gonna happen. I don't know. I agree with the whole constantly moving target thing. I think it's success is defined as reaching that next goal. It can be as simple as publishing your first thing, which is that first goal. That's the first success you have as a writer. For me now, success would be having a decent following with the newsletter that I'm finally starting. First issue is going out in April. I've got only a few subscribers right now. And so success for me would be, getting to, a goal of a decent amount of reach there. And that's really for future success of getting more readers, getting more sales. I think most of us have a goal of wanting to be a full-time writer, but also at the same time, I really enjoy my day job now. I'm an optician, and I'm about to start my apprenticeship to be licensed as a dispensing optician. And I don't know, maybe I look at it now and I'm like, maybe a full-time author isn't all of what I want to do. But I think a lot of us find it hard to find something else that we really enjoy doing as well. And so I don't think that, being a full-time author has to be a goal or a measure of success, for down the road. I think I know several authors that are doctors as well. Like me and Samantha's friend, Darren Kennedy. I don't think that he would ever want to be just a full-time writer.
And not until after he retires from being a doctor anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's retired, and so he can do whatever he wants at that point. But there's a lot of people that are indie authors that really enjoy their other jobs and everything. And so it's very personal, what should be defined as success. I don't think there should be a blanket, this is success kind of thing. I mean, like, we all want to be Brandon Sanderson, and get that Kickstarter.
I'll take his level of success without actually having to become a different person.
Exactly. Exactly. But that success, yeah. But I mean, if you asked him, he might be like, I'm not as successful as I want to be. And I think that
if he said that, I would freaking punch him in the face.
Yeah, that would be a rapacious outlook. That'd be brutal.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's something.
I want to be a billionaire author. Sorry.
Yeah, I've only written the last 3 books of The Wheel of Time, and now my stuff's going to be on TV. And I had that ridiculous couple of Kickstarters. Yeah.
But I mean, I get a push.
He didn't even say it, and I'm already mad at him.
I think it should be a very personal thing of what is considered success.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How about you, Karina? Well, I mean, it sounds like you're already a success with all your awards.
Oh, thank you. Well, they're all different things. They're not. I suppose they're to do with writing, but no, that's nice when something like that's happened. It's another accolade to put on my long list. It's really cool. But just to mention something to Alexandra, have you got a reader magnet? Are you giving a reader magnet out with your newsletter?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not working. You're not getting.
I also only started like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So it's very new, and I wasn't expecting overnight success with it, and I'm definitely going to be doing some of the like newsletter builders and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. That's really good for getting subscribers. These builders, and they don't cost a lot of money either, so that's really good. So. Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to shut up now. So when you first start as an author and you're desperate to get that book out and you think, you're going to get a publishing contract and they're going to be bidding war over your book and your name's going to be in lights and you just have these really high expectations and then reality happens and your dreams are crushed. So, but I mean, you get that book out and that's what you wanted to do and people are reading it and people are loving it and you're getting great reviews and you're getting a royalty check every month. To me, it's not about being a New York Times best-selling author. It's not about getting my book on the big screen, which I'm desperate to do. I think every author is. To me, to find that review came from nowhere and to see this editorial review just pop up and not know who read the book, that to me is success. Having someone contact me after I've sent a newsletter to say how much they enjoyed it, that's success for me. It's the little things now. I know that I'm not going to be a full-time author, and I'm okay with that. I've got 14 books. I've got another 2 coming up. The one behind me, Road Rage, my bestseller, just released a few months ago. My bestseller, that's success for me, It's the little things now because it's really hard for an independent author to make a living as a full-time author. It is very, very difficult. It can be done, but it's difficult. And so we have to admit to ourselves that if you're going for those goals, make them small. climb that ladder slowly and slowly, and celebrate each goal that you reach.
Well, I know RJ and I have definitely lived our lives by setting really reduced expectations and then trying to meet those. But I know for me right now, getting books out is success for me. I want to get I have 5 out now, and I would like to get some more out. I would like to stay alive and keep writing. But so I definitely get everything you guys are saying, that it changes. But do you need to feel successful to continue as an indie author? I mean, is that something that is required for you to stick with it? Because of course, I mean, Karina just said it, you hope certain things are going to happen, and when they don't, what is it that keeps you going? What is it that the little successes you see?
I think for me, and I think for most authors, we write because we have to write. It's not about making loads and loads of money from our books. We can't stop writing. We have to get whatever's going on in our heads out onto the paper or the keyboard, and we have to keep pushing those books out, and we have to keep writing. And I think if you didn't sell any books, if it was a total standstill, then I think you'd feel, why am I doing this? Let's carry on. Hey, Maddie. Hi, Nita. So we think, why to carry on doing this when I'm not making any money? No one's buying my books. And so for that way. But for me, I just have to keep on writing. I have to keep the books coming out one after another, and hopefully people will buy them, and I'll get good reviews, and that's success for me, Yeah,
I'm with you on that one. I feel like I wouldn't stop writing if I stopped feeling like I had any success. I would maybe not push as hard on publishing for a while. Like I'd step back from that part, especially if it's hurting my enjoyment of the writing, which is why I got in there in the first place. It's like, I want an audience. Don't get me wrong. All of you go out right now and buy all of my books, please. But I would still write even if you didn't. But to do all the other stuff that it takes for publishing, because writing the book is only part of it, right? I maybe wouldn't push as hard on that if I hadn't gotten at least some positive reception.
Well, clearly, I don't personally require a positive reception or financial success to keep writing books, but I definitely agree that that's a reasonable standard. I don't know. I also don't feel like I just need to write books, because there's lots of other things I could be doing that I would enjoy approximately as much, at least now that I think about it. But it's whatever.
You're an inspiration.
It's what I do. I mean, I've been doing this for so long that maybe I'm bored of it to some extent. I mean, for most of my life, I've been writing novels. Wow. But yeah, 2/3 of it anyway. And
well,
so
why haven't you given up yet, Tim? If it's been so many years and you said you're now getting a little bit bored of it, what's stopping you from giving up?
Honestly, that's a great question. I don't know.
Don't give up, by the way. Don't give up.
That keeps Tim
don't
from.
Do it.
I think it's just what is it? The momentum and it won't
habit.
Stop. It's just
no, but it isn't a habit. I don't write every day. It's not something I do all the time.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. That's the derailing things here. Don't worry about it.
Stubbornness is why he keeps going.
Yeah. No, Tim, you are very
inspirational.
No, I was going to say typical of a certain kind of creative.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or some people are driven and they must do it, and other people do it intermittently when they choose to.
I mean, I don't do anything else either. So that's the main thing. I mean, there's not a lot. I don't have a job. I don't have a lot of hobbies that are rewarding to me. I have a few. So honestly, this is probably a bad day for me. I'm having a depression spiral right now. So, I mean, it's been a bad week. But clearly, it's not anything that involves something I'm feeling that makes me continue writing. It's really or maybe it is. Maybe it's just the fear of giving up, because that feels like a waste at that point. 20 years and start writing when you're 10 and you give up when you're 30. That's ridiculous. So why? It's way too early to give up.
Great. I love that positivity. Well done.
When is the appropriate time? Like 35?
No, because that's the other thing that I have to remind myself of this. Most authors don't find any kind of what I would call success in the traditional sense. Like they don't get published by a traditional publisher. They don't start seeing financial success as an indie author. I've not met a lot of authors that get that kind of success when they're 32. Most of them start getting that kind of success in their late 30s or early 40s, if they're lucky. And a lot of them never. And a lot of them, it takes a lot longer. Yeah, it happens. And it's not like I've been publishing books for 20 years. I've only been publishing books for like 8 years. So I took a long time to learn to write books. So I feel like that's another reason I don't give up yet.
Good.
But yeah,
that's good.
We have a question here from Maddie DeGraff in the comments. It says, was there a certain point that changed your opinion on success? Can you think of some moment where your definition shifted and you were conscious of that? Why don't we start with Tim?
Well, definitely. I mean, when I wanted to be traditionally published for a long time, which is one of the reasons I didn't publish when I fresh out of college or whatever, for the most part. But even because I had books at that point, I had a few books. Some of them are published now, so I could have worked on them and published them then. But I wanted to be traditionally published, and then I went to the Writing Excuses retreat in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the time, and I despised it. It was a horrible time, and partially because, but they also opened the door. I mean, it was just I was not in the right mood to go to it. It's a lot like today. I was in one of those moods. So, and it's going to sound like the sample size is pretty small here, but it's going to sound like I'm always like this. Not quite true. But when I'm in a bad mood, and I was in a way worse mood then, it ruins everything. And ever since then, I'm like, wow, these traditional authors are scraping by. I mean, yeah, sure, Brandon Sanderson was there and he was doing fine, but the other hosts of Writing Excuses, they do okay, but they're not super successful in the sense of they also don't get to. And, I mean, they've all, and even then, it's like I'm like, okay, I can try indie publishing, I can give it a shot. I know people make money doing this, and that's what I want. Not just the money, but I don't want to do other things, so I can start writing, for something else. And also, I got tired of the attitude that other people can reject your work, so I gave up on submitting to publishers shortly after that. I'm like, no, this is stupid. What a waste of time. And submitting to agents, for me, even more of a waste of time. Obviously, some people are going to find that valuable, but that was something that just annoyed me. I'm like, okay, so why does this person who's whatever. That's the old indie rhetoric, right? Why does somebody else get to decide if my book is good enough? Why can't I decide and maybe get enough help, but then release it when I think it's good enough? And
All right, good, thanks. Samantha, can you speak to that point about?
Like similarly, I always sought traditional publishing, and my first novel came out when I was 44. Through a small publisher that has since gone defunct. And, luckily I was able to jump ship and get in with a publisher that I don't think is going to go defunct anytime soon. But before that, I had another novel that I finished that I spent a long time submitting to like Big 5 kinds of publishing opportunities. And there is a certain point where it's like the return on investment starts to feel really poor because you send what they ask for, and you wait 6 months for any kind of response. And then maybe if you're lucky, they ask for some more pages or the full manuscript. And then you wait 6 months to a year just to be told no without any feedback. So I think that's part the slowness of that process is part of why a lot of people choose to go indie or at least smaller press. And I think that was one of those moments where I had a shift in my idea of success, because I think up until I started actually submitting to work to be Big 5 and waiting a year to hear nothing, I thought that was success, as if one of those places took your work. And I was like, well, if that's going to be my only method of success, I'm going to die before I see my first book come out. So then I started looking around and thinking like, well, what would it feel like if you went this other route instead? And I've been very glad I did, because maybe someday I will have a book picked up by one of the big five, and maybe that will be a good experience. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of writers who have that experience, and it's not necessarily more positive or more profitable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I think you just got to look at what feels good to you, and what feels like a good use of your time, and what your limits are in terms of your patience, and what particular kind of bullshit you're willing to work in, because it all has some kind, right? There's nothing you can do in this life that comes without BS. But is it the BS that you can handle without, ending up covered in it?
Well, I
thank you. That was well put.
I love your point about how before there was nothing else to do, but apply, try and submit to the traditionals, and it was horrendous. You could only submit to one agent at a time, and you had to wait 6 months. I mean, there was just all these rules, and it was ridiculous. It mostly meant you just sat around. And so I think we should take the opportunity to thank our Amazon overlords for changing for us. I mean,
they're wide overlords. Come on.
Well, true, but I think Amazon made it.
They broke in.
Amazon. I don't know if we would have all this stuff. I mean, I am very appreciative.
Yeah, Amazon definitely makes it more possible to find decent distribution, even if you are indie published, or if your publisher is, two friends in their basement. It gives you the opportunity to get your work in front of a lot of people in a way that was impossible to do before that model came about.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for being able to go indie, our definition of success would not have changed. It would still be that has certainly opened everything up. But Alexander, Karina, either of you have some?
I'll let Alexander go.
Yes.
For me?
Yeah, on this Maddie question.
Point that changed your opinion of success.
A pivotal one.
He was learning that the average income for an author in 2019 was $4,500. It's the average income.
And that includes Steve King.
Includes everybody. Yes. Average author, including everyone, is $4,500. Shows you how little the majority of authors make. And it's one of those where I think it's information that a lot of writers need to have. Because if you know that and you go, I may only make, less than $5,000 at this a year, it lets you make that decision of, do I want to keep doing this if this is something I'm not really going to make money on? I think for those of us that do, with that knowledge, it gives you almost a freedom in that, in just knowing that why you're doing this, what you're going to do, and that kind of thing. And not saying that $4,500 is success. It can be whatever you define as success. If it's selling one book a year, then that's success for you. But that was kind of something that really kind of changed my view on really what most of us can really expect to make a year.
Karina, you got anything to throw in?
Oh yes. So I've been in this business for like 28 years, and of course when I first published my book there was no Kindle around, no Amazon and what have you. So everything was paperback, and of course everyone's looking for a publisher, everyone was looking for an agent. You submit, you either hear back, they want a bit of some chapters, you don't hear back, and it just went on and on. I had rejection after rejection. And this book that I wrote, I thought of it as The Outsiders on Motorbikes. And The Outsiders, the book, I'm sure you all know the classic. It became one of those that was taught on the schools. It was part of the curriculum in Britain and in the US. So I'm thinking, I've just written basically something similar that the kids are going to really enjoy. Let's get it in the libraries. Let's get it in the schools. And it didn't happen because what happened was I got published by a vanity press. Mm-hmm. And we were all like, boo, yeah. We took them to court. We won the case. We didn't receive a penny. They went bankrupt. 2 weeks later, they come out with another name. And so this sort of really opened my eyes to the situation. And then when I started doing it myself through Lulu, not Amazon, and I realized how much I was getting a book, how much royalties we're getting for selling a paperback book, and how much it took for us to write that paperback book, how long it took, and how much it bloody cost to publish and market this paperback book. That really opened my eyes. And I think that was when I said, well, you know, if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I just want to keep on writing, keep on getting my books out there, knowing that people are buying them, they're enjoying them. That's it for me now. I'm not thinking, like I said, I'd love to get one of my books on as on the screen. But apart from that, I'm just very happy with where I am. And if it goes any further, then great. Hey, Nessie.
You know, we were talking about those pivotal moments that made you have a realization. One of those for me is I was at Gen Con. Sorry, I can't tell you what year, but I was at Gen Con, and they have a writer's track. And Cameron Hurley was speaking on a panel that I went to listen to. And she talked about how she had 7 books out before she made any kind of living at, you know, like where she felt like it could be her job. And that was an important moment for me to realize that, like, those pie in the sky dreams of, like, you have one book and it makes you a superstar and changes your life, that was probably unrealistic. You know, that was Hollywood talking when it tells its own stories in movies about writers and that kind of stuff, not actually what most writers experience. And Cameron Hurley's, you know, quite a successful author. She's a name that most people have heard of, at least if you read
it may be in the writing world, but I don't think most people have heard of Cameron Hurley. I love her work.
I said if you read speculative fiction.
Sorry, you broke up a bit there.
Yeah. Yeah. If you read speculative fiction, then you've probably at least heard of Cameron Hurley, whether you like her books or not. And so that was a good moment for me to have a more realistic expectation for when I could hit that level of success. And so far I've only got 5 books that are just mine, or 5 novels anyway. So maybe that's why I have to write 2 more.
I mean, that's a nice outlook, but I mean, I've, what was it, 12, 13 books I published, all novels. And I mean, I'm just saying it can happen. It can take a lot longer.
Well, that's a talk I'll have with myself when we get to book 7, and then if it's, you know, still aren't.
I mean, if you're writing a series, I bet it'd be easier. But I don't know. I don't know what sort of stuff you're writing right now. So.
Yeah, I'm finishing a series. I'm writing the 5th and final novel in a series, and then I've got 4 back-burnered novels that I'd really like to finish.
Nice.
You should quit your job.
Well, you know, go out and buy my books, and maybe I will.
Ooh, well, our heads appear to be frozen here, but we do still exist.
Lies.
Your mouths aren't opening.
Yes, and you're both frozen with this very serious expression on your face.
Yes.
You guys,
welcome to the Grim this weekend.
Giving us a lot to think about.
Oh, we don't want to put a negative thing on it. You know, we don't want to make people feel bad. We're being honest on our end of how people can become New York Times bestsellers as an indie author. People can become a bestseller and do all the tours around the US and sell thousands and thousands of books. And it does happen. It does. And I'm so happy for everyone that it happens to. But the majority of us are struggling. But we keep on going because we've either done it for so long we're not ready to quit, it will be a waste of time, or we just, like myself, I just have to keep writing. I stopped for nearly 10 years. I actually told all my fans that I weren't writing anymore. I was finished. And I can't remember what got me going again, but you get to that stage where you don't know whether it's worth carrying on. And that I know so many authors, especially new debut authors, that have just started, but they don't know what they're doing when it comes to marketing promotion. So they're thinking, why have I done this? What where do I go now? What do I do next? Well, I say don't give up. You've published that book, and now people need to see that book. And so you've got to get out there and sell that book, It's not easy, but I just want to. The positive side of it is that we love what we do. It's that we love what we do, and when we see that review, and we know that people are loving what we do, that just for me that keeps me going.
That was beautiful.
That's beautiful.
If you could see me right now, I'm crying.
You're tearing up, aren't you? Yeah.
But so you know how normally CL Cannon does the Indie Connection?
Oh dear, what have you done?
Show? She didn't do it because she didn't want to be associated with RJ or I.
That's understandable.
That's my guess. She didn't say it. She didn't come out and say it, but that was my guess. And so instead, to take the place of the Indie Connection, we are going to take advantage of that time to play a little clip of our upcoming show. I mean, it's very little, but please enjoy this clip of Indie Mayhem.
How many cats do you own?
Maddie.
3.
Nope.
The correct amount, which is 0, because I hate them.
That is it's half right.
It's
half right.
Yeah. But I mean, I get. All right, Karina.
No, because I just ran over it in the car.
Oh,
I did have one.
It still got really dark all the time.
It got dark.
What's the real answer, though?
None, because you don't own cats. They own you.
That is true.
I think no
little
points
truth.
on that round.
A little bit of truth for that. Yeah, no point.
It is true.
There you go.
Should we try removing ourselves from the studio and going back? Or should we just leave this?
I guess they made the decision.
An executive decision was made.
What should we do?
Now it's just dark. It's just a black screen.
Yeah.
But at least it's not as unnerving as before. It's fine.
All right.
There is a certain freedom. I don't have to wear a shirt anymore.
Yeah. We're making rude gestures at all of you.
There is no life in the void.
All right. Well, hey, we might as well get back to
I'm
the
not sure
show.
if that's better.
Come back. We're sorry. Come back, please.
All right.
I liked your theme music. It made me dance.
All right. First, Vanessa said that she can't blame CL Cannon for not wanting to do it.
Fair enough.
But then Joe said she had an emergency. And once we see the note from the dentist, we will believe it.
Gonna have to get that school attendance thing signed.
And then Vanessa is now my favorite because she said that looked hilarious.
It is hilarious. It really is. You gotta watch it.
And Maddie said it was a blast.
It was.
We're a black hole. It does. Being disembodied, it's like the voice of God. Like I saw that, Alexander. That kind of thing.
No, we got.
It's not what I imagined God to sound like. Yeah.
We got the two voices of God, and then Karina is apparently a ghost because she keeps appearing in this.
It's my internet connection.
Actually, I think it might be the backdrop. It might be your screen.
Yes, it's your.
Yeah.
So Maddie is like paying attention to the show's theme, and apparently we should have had her as the host because she keeps coming up with great questions. Would you say the quality of your books is better than quantity in terms of success?
They say the more you write, the more popular you're going to be, the more money you're going to make, and just keep on writing and writing. Well, I'm on 15 and it didn't work for me.
But is your quality really bad?
No, the quality at the beginning was, I mean, everyone must have gone back to their first book after all these years and read it and think, oh my God. But now, if you get Road Rage, you'll see how amazing and how wonderful the quality is. The writing is superb. Lots of twists, page turner. People love it. The reviews have been brilliant. It's beautifully formatted inside with chapter design and everything. It is really good quality, yes. But I don't believe in that the more books you write, the Joe's doing on there.
You were saying though, Karina, come on.
So yeah, I don't think that. Oh gosh, I don't think that the more books you write, the more famous and the more money you'll make. It didn't work for me. I don't know if it's worked for anyone else, but.
Well, I guess there's something to be said for the more you write, the better you're going to get at it, because that's how it works with most skills, right? You know, if you're doing laundry, the more of it you're done, the less likely it is that you're going to turn your whites pink, right? You know, you get better at it over time. So there is a quantity, I think, in that sense. But one of the tricky things about the quality angle is who's defining quality and how honest are you with yourself about your quality? Because, you know, there are wonderful, wonderful indie novels that I have read that I'm like, I can't believe that anybody would have passed up the opportunity to publish this. This is fabulous. And there are things that have been published as indie novels that I would line my kitty litter box with if I had a cat.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
That's so true. And there's and a lot of those and the level of success doesn't seem to be, it seems to be independent from the quality. Honestly, the level of financial success is often independent from the actual quality and sometimes even the quantity of the work. It is pretty bizarre. But even the reader reaction isn't always like, I can disagree with the reader reaction, not just to my books, but to other people's books. Because I like there's these brilliant novels that I will compare it and like, wait, how did that other book get? Why is that ranked significantly higher by other readers? I guess I'm just not a normal person. That was obvious, but
if you were a normal person, you wouldn't be a writer.
Absolutely, but there's no standing. I mean, you know, it's like you can't. Equality is subjective in a lot of ways, even though I personally think. But doesn't everybody think that their subjective opinion is kind of objective on some level? That's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah. Right. And you know, writers can either be too hard on themselves and, you know, start to feel like, everything I write is crap. Or they can be not hard enough on themselves and think that everything that they write is gold. and no matter who you are and how long you've been in the career, neither of those is true. Like you could take the top of the industry guys like Stephen King. Some of his books are amazing and some of his books are crap. And they were all written by the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I agree, Anita. Yeah, some trad books could also be kitty litter. I mean, I'd agree with that 100%. I mean, not just, it doesn't matter how the book's published. There's just a lot of books out there that just aren't going to be to anybody's taste or to our taste, especially, I think is when we're talking about writers, among writers being, I mean, and for a long time, I wanted to be recognized by other writers. And now I'm like, I gave up on that because it's kind of impossible because writers write, a lot of us write anyway. I know I do, because we don't like a lot of the stuff out there or because it's just not exactly what we want. And it bothers us. That's more, and it bothers me. That's my personal position that I would like, nobody writes the book like I want to read. So I got to go write them. It's a bad problem to have.
Well, personally, I know I'm the best damn writer that's out there, so it's just a quantity game for me at this point.
Hey, they're back.
I mean, it's I agree with that. Like quality is subjective because I mean there's people out there writing Bigfoot / Loch Ness monster porn, and they're making a lot more money than probably any of us are.
Yes, there's certainly a lot of traditionally published stuff out there that's also garbage.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard of Sturgeon's Law? Somebody asked Theodore Sturgeon, why do you write science fiction? Almost all of that is garbage. He says almost all of everything is garbage. That's no excuse for not doing what you love. So I like it.
Yeah. True.
And then there's some traditionally published books that you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I mean, I will, even on This Week in Indies, I will forever tell everyone how great the Burning Saga is from Evan Winters, Rage of Dragons and Fires of Vengeance. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Those books are incredible. That's why you're there. And I mean, a point that I was going to bring up earlier that I just remembered is also I think there's a lot to be said in success for hybrid authors. And because I mean, for me, I'm like, I would like to have some books traditionally published. Do I need everything that I'm going to publish ever to be traditionally published? No. I know that there are books that I want to write that probably would never make it there just because the way the genre is, the way I want to write them is probably not going to hit there. I've got other things and I'm like, hey, maybe this would be a shot. But I'm also, if it doesn't make it there, I have other options. I allow myself other options. And as I am,
you're in for it now.
Yeah, Joe, I gotta fight everybody.
I'm with you on hybrid, and even like Alexander and I are both at least partly published by the same publisher, Falstaff Books, which is a small publisher. And even though they're a small publisher, being a part of the Falstaff group has definitely raised my discoverability. More people know about my work than did before. And so now that they've helped me build a little bit of a platform, when I publish other things, I have a better shot of getting those in front of readers too. So there's definitely still, I think, some reasons to seek that hybrid experience. And if you have a project that's well suited for traditional publishing, then go for it, because it will raise your presence. It will make it more likely people find all your work. But it can't be the be all end all, because not everything you write is going to be well suited to do well in that environment.
I've out of the 14 books that I've done, and another 2, I'm indie, I'm small press, and I'm hybrid. So I'm in everything. And with indie, it's all about you. You're doing everything, but it's your decisions and your choices, which is fantastic. With hybrid, it's a partnership. You bring something to the table, they bring something to the table, and you work together to get that book out and to make sure that everyone wins. With a small press, you're published, but you're still doing your marketing and your promotion, because they can't afford to pay for that because they're so small. They're just a publisher. But I'm happy. I've been, like I said, so many years. I'm proud to be indie. My next books will be independent. I will carry on trucking along and singing my song and loving what I do.
I think for me, one of the only reasons why I at this point would consider submitting to agents and that kind of thing is because I've been indie published. And I think that had I tried to seek that first, I would have been so much more discouraged. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm going to submit this book, see if it gets any traction. But I'm also going to be publishing other things while I'm doing that with Falstaff on my own, like collections on my own and that kind of thing, so that I'm not hinging or like putting all of my work into just that. Like that's hey, let's see if we get let's throw the line out there to see if we get a bite. But don't, hey, I've got other options that I can take that too. I think I also approach publishing and everything with a much more from a business point of view, because I mean, like this is my business, this is my company that
exactly.
I'm running. And And it's also why I was like, if I was making absolutely no money back on anything, I think there'd be a lot to consider on whether or not I would really be doing much writing.
It gets to be an expensive hobby if you don't.
It does. And I've also, I'm in the red right now on stuff. I've invested in a lot of things. I've invested in my company to put things out there, and I'm going to try to.
Right.
Yeah, like the microphone.
Like the publishing too. Most books that are published by the big publishers lose money.
Oh,
they
yeah.
make it back on the blockbusters.
Yep.
And they never know which
Indies are taking over. We're doing better than the big five, and they know it, and they hate that. We've got the track. You know, we're selling more books as independent authors, and that's why no one's looking for an agent or going to publishers anymore, because we don't need to. We're doing fine on our own. Not necessarily everybody, but I'm saying
not individually necessarily.
Exactly. But thank you very much, Tim.
I mean, like, you know, you look at a lot of the things that traditional publishing does, and they're like you go look at a new ebook, and they're like $15.99, and I'm like, I'm not paying $15.99 for an ebook. Like, y'all are stupid
so
to try to do that.
It's not even an efficient way to do it. I mean, like, I don't know exactly what their deal is with Amazon, but even if they only made 50% of that, they'd be better off charging $9.99 and no higher. You know, if they get a similar deal to indies. I'm not sure. Obviously, publishers can screw with that more, probably. Yeah.
The whole point of ebooks was to make it cheaper for the authors, publishers, and cheaper for the reader. No paper, no print, no shipping. And what happens? They get greedy. You know, you've got
there's a lot of other advantages to it, but
Rowling
that would be a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah, Rowling selling her latest book, her ebook, more expensive than the paperback. And I was so shocked. And that's how greedy that the big five are getting now. They just, it's
not
ridiculous.
That they're getting greedy now.
Yeah. It's not a new part of the human condition.
And to them, when ebooks came out, they were like, holy crap, we're going to make 100% off of an ebook. Right. You know, I mean, that's just their deal. But I did have one question I wanted everybody to weigh in on. So we talked a lot about what we thought success was early on and what we think it is today. But where do you need to get to consider yourself successful in 10 years?
Who wants that?
Well, we're
going to leave again
and come back.
All right. Bye-bye. Enjoy your black hole.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
I personally would say that I won't consider myself a success in 10 years if I haven't started making some kind of inroads into having a bigger audience and making something of a living out of it. Because I don't know, I don't know what else is going to keep me doing it at this point. You know.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say in 10 years. In 10 years, I'll be 60, so I'll probably have retired from teaching or gotten close, or maybe I'll have made that career leap I'm trying to make right now into other things. But finance definitely is a part of what would keep me publishing. Like I said, I think I'd always be writing, because writing how I process the world. It's how I think about things. It's how I deal with everything I'm thinking and feeling. I wouldn't stop writing, but just, maybe I wouldn't work so hard on publishing and trying to get attention for what I've published if I haven't seen some increases.
That's right, Joe.
I didn't hear anything you said because we were gone, but good.
Yeah, we assumed it was brilliant. And
I was brilliant, of course. Yes.
So
I'm curious if any of you have ever had an experience where you've had some success and then it didn't feel like success. I'm thinking of I read a book by Steve Martin talking about how he got started in stand-up. Born Standing Up was a great book, but he talked about the first time he was on the Tonight Show, and he thought, this is going to change everything. This is every comic's dream. And then, like, the next day, he's out at the supermarket, and no one recognizes him anymore. Before Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After the Tonight Show, chop wood, go shopping. So has anyone had such an experience where?
I mean, I was in a book bundle, a steampunk book bundle with Kevin J. Anderson and a number of other authors at one point. Gave away several thousand copies. I mean, actually, not sold several thousand copies through that. But it didn't change anything because I don't know how many people read the book because it was a bundle, right? So but that was the most I've made in one sitting as an author, 1 month probably as an indie author from sales. And it didn't change a whole lot because, again, people don't know every author in the bundle, and people don't pick up the weird military fantasy thing that's almost steampunk, which just snuck in, even though it might be a good book, you know?
We'll never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I felt a bit that way with when my first novel was published. Like I expected it to make more difference to what my day-to-day life was like, what I was spending my time on, and it didn't really. You know, I had like a big book launch party, you know, and celebrated and everything because I'm trying to appreciate, you know, what successes I have as they come by, and it was a great time. But you know, I still went back to school on Monday and taught 7 classes of middle school kids, and I still grocery shopped and made dinner, and you know, it didn't really feel like anything had changed. So that was maybe a little like, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was laughing at Joe's comment out of you.
Yes.
You were saying something serious.
Me too.
I stupidly went with KU once, won't do that again. But anyway, I went with KU and I got all of these promotions, what they called steps or whatever they're called, stacks. And so I had all these paid promotion stacks for this free book. It was 2 days. I got nearly 6,000 downloads. I was like so friggin' happy, and you know, okay, the downloads, but I'm going to get loads of reviews and more people are going to come and buy my next book or have already bought my next book. No reviews. People downloaded the free book because it was free. Probably on the bottom of their Kindle now, on top of all the other free books they download. And I sold maybe 3 other books from that 2 days. So that was like a really high and then like back down to reality.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Alexander, how about you?
Not really.
No success
Honestly.
ever. I gotcha.
I mean, my first book came out in April of 2020. So I'm only just now getting to a point with having books that are my own. And then it's been 2 years since the first one came out because of, you know, how much things slowed down with everything, you know, that's been going on. And we're only really just now getting back up to steam. So I haven't really, you know, had a lot of chances to do that. You know, I'm only just now starting to get back into doing more conventions and really getting out there. I only feel like I'm just now really able to start getting out and really talking about the first book, because, you know, I can post on social media, I can do some of those things, but, you know, without more that's going on, it hasn't been as much. I am the kind of person that it is very hard for me to celebrate the small successes, because I'm always like, all right, cool, that came out, what's next? Like it's gone immediately. Like by the time I get there, I'm already like, cool, that's a thing that I knew was going to happen. What's next? What's the next thing what's the next step that I'm going on? And I think that comes a lot from how much of that I view this as, you know, a business and as my company, because it's always, what can I do to push it further? I mean, it's why I'm now starting the newsletter, because I feel I'm at a point, you know, I've got 3 pro sales with Zombies New Brains. You know, I am a SIFWA member at this point. I've got several short stories out. I've got my collection, got my book, second book's coming out. I'm like, all right, I've got enough that people may care that things are coming out. I'm starting work on a new novel, and I'm also in a place mentally that I can really push to do a lot of things and get more out there.
I think that's part of the human condition to always want more. Scott Adams talks about when he first started having greeting cards with Dilbert come out. He set his sights on having as many greeting cards sell as Charles Schultz did. And he looked that number up and it was over 1 billion.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's a lot. So
1 billion is a lot. We've learned a lot today.
1 billion's a large number, it turns out. It's much larger than 1 million.
Good point.
It's only in the US, it's 1,000 times bigger than 1 million. In Britain, it's 1 million times bigger than 1 million. That gets very, very confusing when.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in a book deal across the Atlantic and they're offering you 1 billion, just clarify which one they mean.
I mean, if they're going to give you a billion, I'd say it's generally not that important to clarify. That's still a lot of money.
Good point. I would take it no matter which one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Though if they just say 1 billion, you got to ask what? 1 billion what? Right?
No, if they say billion, I'll say
you got to ask for the units on that
immediately.
What Joe just said, I just want to say again that we've all published one book or more, and that is amazing to have done that. And congratulations to you all. And I wish you huge success with those books and any other books that you write.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet.
I appreciate
I consider half of you a success. No, I'm just kidding.
Which half?
Well, I don't want to say on air. After I will tell you.
No, that's fine.
But
yeah, definitely. Just the fact that you finished a book and got it out there is a huge accomplishment. You know, how many writers or how many people out there who never quite become writers, tell you that they want to write a book or they've started to write a book, but they never finish it. Just the fact that you finished one at all is such an accomplishment.
I mean, I agree with that.
Exactly.
I think while that is true, that one book is a huge accomplishment. It is so common for people to indie publish one book and then be underwhelmed by what happens. They didn't become rich and become a bestseller, that they don't write another book. So for me, the big thing is somebody has more than one book out. They were able to take that kick in the face and the crushing of their dreams
and get up and keep doing
and then keep going. That's
because they're authors. That's because they're writers. They are those people that just can't stop writing. They have to write another book. They have to finish another book. And after that, they've got an idea for another book. Those people that have published a book probably got their neighbor to edit it, their sister to have a look at the formatting, and off it goes with a Fiverr cover. I love Fiverr, by the way. Off it goes with Fiverr cover, and the book doesn't do well, and they wonder, oh, well, why? What have I done wrong? And I'm not doing that again, and so they give up. But for the real writers out there that just have to write and want to carry on and need to carry on, that's the difference for me. That's the difference between the two.
And it depends how close you stand to the camel. If you're going to get kicked in the face, be careful about that. Don't stand behind
Which end of the camel are you going to stand? I mean, do you want to be kicked in the face or have them spit in your face?
Oh, yeah.
Those are your options.
Some of the best advice I've ever gotten is the best way to market a book is to publish the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, there we go. That's perfect.
I believe that. Definitely.
And the indie author that told me that, Jake Bible, is fairly successful himself. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hybrid too.
Yeah. God, can that man pump out books at quality? Yeah, there's been several authors that I've seen that are like that. There's another author that I follow as well, whose books I really love, and it's Chamois Stovall. Fully indie published. Books are incredible, and she publishes very fast. She's doing like 3 or 4 books a year at least. So, yeah.
Sounds like a jerk.
Yeah. And you just know you just never know what is going to take off.
Mhm.
Had a conversation. There's a writer named Mike Gerber who did a parody of the Harry Potter books called Barry Trotter and the Unauthorized Parody. He self-published it. It ended up getting picked up by a major publisher, sold over 1 million copies, and he was unable later to publish other books because he was able to publish through that publisher sequels to that book, but then he would write other books that were just humorous books, and he couldn't get them published. So we went back to self-publishing things. So you never know what one thing will take off, or success doesn't automatically mean more success. You have to keep doing the work and being willing to put yourself out there yourself and doing what it takes.
Well, that sucks.
It's not magic. You can't keep your fingers.
But it also sucks. All right. I am ready for the final 5 minutes. Let's go around and tell where people can find you and how great you are, that kind of stuff. Let's start with Karina.
Well, my site is explosivewriter.com, and you can find all of my links to social media, my books, everywhere I am online at Linktree. So that's Linktree Karina Kantas, small letters. And get in touch with me. I love chatting with people for no reason at all. So just send me a hi, and we'll get to know each other.
Alexander, how about you?
Find me right down there at alexandergideon.net. Links to all of my social are on there, all the events that I'm going to be at. Links to all of my books. You can also sign up for my newsletter. First issue is going out in April. It's going to be snippets of book 2 of the Books of the Law. In that one, you get a free short story for signing up. And I'm also doing a book giveaway with that issue as well.
Nice. Tim?
Oh, yeah. My books are on timniederriter.com. You can find them all there. timniederriter.com/books. And if you have trouble spelling Niederriter, it would be a great success for me to have more people know how to spell that word, right?
That is a great one. People knowing how to spell your name.
Yes. How did you choose that pen name, by the way?
Oh, I didn't. I wouldn't have. It's hell to put it on a book cover. It's so long.
It has a nice sound for a writer's name, like need
Absolutely.
a writer. Yeah.
Exactly. I have that site too. timneedawriter.com. Yeah. I have that one. There's stuff there.
All right, and
Samantha,
Samantha,
we would like to know where to buy your old lady books.
I'm Samantha Bryant, and my website is samanthabryant.com, and you can find my books on Amazon and at Falstaff Books, or if you're in the South, you could attend one of the local cons and find me or my publisher, John Hartness, there. And it's the Menopause superhero series. There are 4 novels, 2 novellas, a set of short stories, and a book that collects all the short stuff into one book, so you can have a big book full of small books. And I also write horror and other short speculative fiction, and you can find me on social media mostly as @Samantha B Writer, just the letter B in the middle.
Nice. Thank you very much.
excellent. Thank you.
All right. Well, we are going to look at this thing for a second.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's nice. That's cool. Hey, there's that book we wrote.
Yeah, that's
And you a long
that's
time
good
ago.
looking, and he's good looking too. Look at that guy.
All right. Okay. And I forgot to do this earlier before we had the roundtable discussion.
Hey.
That's the round table in the rear view.
So now that the roundtable's over, that's what it was like. All right. So, all right. Anyway, now let's turn it over to RJ for his exciting final 5 minutes, and I'm just gonna sit next to him pretending I'm not. So go ahead, Rob.
All right. Thank you. I've prepared a statement. I'd like to thank Ron and myself for giving me this last 5 minutes to shamelessly promote myself and my many products and or services. First, if you'd like to support me directly, please feel free to set up a GoFundMe in my name. I answer to Robin Burchett and also RJ Burchett. That's my nom de plume. That's French and or Latin for something or other. Feel free to tell people that I have whichever ailment or circumstance that you think would generate the most money. My cat was recently missing for several days, if that helps. It was very distressing. That's got to be worth something. Okay. True story. While I was putting up these flyers, a young boy said to me, "Wasn't this cat missing a few months ago?" This was true, and I felt judged. But he has never been responsible for another life. He doesn't know what that's like. And yes, I did shamelessly reuse the same flyer. I just updated the copyright date. You've all done it. So you know how that is. So I'm here in this last 5 minutes to promote my game show, Indie Mayhem. Ron and my game show, Indie Mayhem. Our game show, Indie Mayhem, premieres this Tuesday on YouTube at 5 p.m. Pacific. It is the only game show on the Go Indie Now network that features independent writers, filmmakers, musicians, publishers, audiobook readers, etc. It is insane beyond belief, unless you don't like that kind of thing, in which case it is an ocean of sanity in this crazy, crazy world. Find it on YouTube, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, or find the link on the Go Indie Now website. I must warn you, Indie Mayhem is designed to provide information that is entirely unreliable. You watch with the understanding that the hosts are thoroughly ignorant of the topics covered, and as such, are not responsible for any bonehead choices you may make after watching this show. If you think you have what it takes to be a contestant on Indie Mayhem, get a hold of Ron here. I have a job. I am an important person with many responsibilities. I can't be bothered with understanding how all that works. But at a deeper level, we're doing the Indie Mayhem game show to promote our book, You Get What You Steal. We started writing You Get What You Steal many weeks ago. Many, many, many weeks ago. I don't want to give too much away, but I can read from our publisher's promotional materials. Meet Claude, the most famous outlaws in the galaxy, at least in their own minds. There's Clint, the fuzzy green menace who left home to become a mercenary. As a plant, a polyped, and a genius, he filled 3 spots in their quota-driven minority recruitment drive. Then there's Leif, the performance artist and small-time smuggler who lives boldly, unleashed from the fear and the basic common sense that make most lives so small. He's not afraid to make any mistake once, or, as it happens, many, many times. Then there's Doris, the hidden brains of the group and a woman who you underestimate at your peril. Together, they learn the true meaning of Christmas. Not really. In fact, you'll have to read the book to find out if they learn anything at all. Full of laughs, loves, and scenes so bizarre, they will stay with you forever. For good or bad. You Get What You Steal is the feel-good space opera that the world needs today. I should warn our more sensitive readers that there is a racy scene. I don't want to give away too much, or you'll all be burning up your Kindle reading devices, flipping through the imaginary pages just to find the hot scenes. It's available on Kindle now for just 99 cents. At any moment, the price could jump to $4 or $5. You don't want to take that risk. Jump on this now. I do not want to jeopardize the financial health of your family just because you are slow on the uptake. I also have a blog, badadviceblog.com. All the bad advice you will ever need, and then some. I also wrote a book, Smart Dad, Dumb Dad. It's only on Amazon at the moment, but will soon be available on Kindle, and also as a major blockbuster film starring both Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage. I will read from it now until the curtain falls, and the brief candle that lights the space between us goes out. We only have 7 seconds left, so... Chapter 1. I had 2 dads, a smart one and a dumb one. One spoke 9 languages and memorized an encyclopedia by the age of 10. The other flunked 3rd grade and never looked back. One held 2 doctorates in comparative feminist labor theory. The other wasn't what you'd call a big reader. Both were charismatic and successful. Both nattered on endlessly about money, but they did not say the same things. And with that, I would like to remind you all, it's always time to go indie now.